Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is day 2 of the how to replace an axle on a Tiptronic car. And what I wanted to do today is just finish up and go over my torque settings for everything. Basically, I got the axle into the car, and I just need to work on torquing everything down. I do still need to bolt the axle into the transmission. So the reason why I didn't finish this last night, it was getting pretty late, and I was a little creeped out last night. So there was a couple stories that hit the news, well, Facebook yesterday, and one was the story of the guy with the Audi S4. I don't know if it's true or not, but supposedly he had a control arm break or something like that, or fail, and it flipped his car, and dude walked away as far as I know. But very bad, very, very bad. So I was like, I don't want to rush this job, forget to torque something down or something like that and lose steering or something. So I'm working on all that same stuff. I'm working on my steering linkage, I'm working on my upper control arms, my pinch bolt, all that stuff, my shock tower. So I was a little creeped out, to be honest. And then I think it was last night or whatever, someone else posted on all-wheel drive army that another guy died. He was driving his WRX. I think the kid was only like 20 or 21 years old, and there's no details yet about that. They just think he was driving too fast and lost control and hit a bunch of trees. So the kid died. It was, I believe, a bug-eyed WRX he was driving. But stuff like that, it just kind of creeps me out at sometimes, where, you know, I'll literally stop what I'm doing or what I was planning on doing and just, you know, resume it when I'm, you know, feeling better about it. So just be careful out there, guys. You know, probably everyone watching my videos does their own work on their cars. Just know what you're doing, please, and be safe. Don't just, you know, the joke with the Audi or German cars is guten tight. Oh, what's the torque rating? Oh, guten tight. It's not really funny. Like, spend a few minutes, look up the shit, go out, buy a $50 or $100 torque wrench, and do it right, please. The money you're saving by working on your car yourself should be paying for or buying your own tools. So that's how I do it. So whenever I don't have a tool, I get a little pissed off that it kind of delays my job, but at the same time, I get to add to my arsenal of tools. So just please, if you're gonna do this stuff, do it right, especially anything suspension related, control arms, shocks, struts, bags, all that bullshit, you know, like. And every once in a while, just get under your car, inspect stuff. Cars are mechanical, you know, like, I'm sure you guys deal with it a lot. When I tell people what kind of work I'm doing on my car, they think I'm like a wizard, or, you know, they're like, wow, why would you do all that, and this and that. And these are the same people that'll go to a shop and hand over thousands of dollars for someone else to do the work on their car. Nothing wrong with that. All I'm saying is these things are mechanical. So 90% of the time, all you have to do is take a visual inspection or take a look at your car, and you can see, like, wow, that's not safe. So that's all I can say for you guys, please. So let's get back to this job. What I have left to do isn't too much. I gotta torque down these the strut tower bolts. I gotta torque down my pinch bolt, this guy here, and that holds in the upper control arms. And then I got to torque down this and this. Now, I found out afterwards, you guys probably were laughing at me if you watched the last episode, but they said if you're going to disconnect this stuff, this is like your steering linkage. I keep forgetting the damn legit name for it. Whatever, I don't care. But this thing hooks to your steering rack. If you undo this, they say that you need a wheel alignment. And I was an idiot. So I had the wheels turned, if you remember, I had them turned all the way to the left. And that's when I popped this off. And then this, of course, all flopped and shit and wanted to go straight as its resting state. So then I turned the wheels back straight, and then I popped it back in. So, like, that's probably the worst thing you can frickin' do for an alignment and all that. I didn't even think about it at the time, but afterwards I was like, yeah, that was dumb. So if you do remove this, you might need to do an alignment. I may at some point try to do a video on how to do your own like crude alignment, because I know they're not cheap or whatever, but we're going to see how this thing drives when I get it back together. But it is something that I'm going to need to do. So like I said, I got to finish torquing everything down. I still need to bolt the axle up to the transmission. Now, here's the difference. That you guys got to keep this in mind. But my car is Tiptronic. It's an automatic. So the axles are, from what I'm learning, totally different than manual axles. So manual axles, you're going to need that, gasket between the axle and the transmission. It's almost like the grease. They're telling me the grease can fly out, so it must not be like completely sealed. Totally different than these Tiptronic cars. So the Tiptronic, this is the other axle. You can see it's completely sealed. So there's nothing open to the element. They were saying, oh, you might lose some grease or something. That must be what the hell this thing is. I was talking about it in the last episode. This is the rebuild kit, and I was like, what the hell is this? So I think that this whole area is packed with grease, and then this gasket goes like this, and then it would you bolt it to the transmission, and it would like seal the grease to the transmission. That's why I was so confused last night. So that was another thing. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? All the directions are like, oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, and everything's totally different because my car's Tiptronic. So yeah, so that would probably explain why the bolts, these were the bolts that came with the rebuild kit that I was talking about yesterday as well, why they're so much different than my bolts that I removed. So these are longer and all that. So because it's for something totally different. That's all I can come up with. I know anyone that's watching these videos that actually works on these cars like on a day-to-day basis and has worked on both manual and automatic, they'll know right away. So comment, please let us know what the difference is, or if I'm correct or wrong. I don't know. I don't have a manual car yet. So let's get this done. But yeah, just guys, be safe out there, okay? If you're not comfortable doing a job, or let's say you get too deep into it and you can't figure something out, ask the right questions. Don't rush through it, and you'll get it done properly. So let's get this going. Alright guys, here we go. We got our torque wrench, and we're going to do these shock towers or strut towers. We're going to torque these down to 48 foot-pounds. Alright, next up we're going to do this pinch bolt, or I should say like this nut. We're going to torque that down to 30 foot-pounds. Alright, after that we're going to do this down to 30 foot-pounds. And this I've written down 74 foot-pounds. I'm going to have to confirm all these numbers because I'm not quite sure, but like I said before, I don't want this one coming out. So, whatever. Alright, I almost forgot too, they said that with these bushings that you can't subject them to like torsional stress. So what they recommend is tightening the pinch bolts when the car's on the ground, because otherwise, so like right now it's tight, so then once I put it on the ground, all the suspension is going to move up and those bushings are going to be bound up. So I am going to loosen that pinch bolt back up, and probably even this pinch bolt, and then I'll tighten both of them when it's back on the ground. Alright, the time has finally come. We are gonna now insert the axle, the new axle that's currently jammed into place for some reason, into the transmission. I mentioned it in the previous episode, but I did thread in the axle nut, just a few threads, just so it doesn't pull out, the axle doesn't pull out or fall out. So yeah, so let's get this back in place here. Alright, so we got our axle pretty much lined up. Now, one thing that I did was I used some brake cleaner and cleaned up all of the bolts, mainly because I don't want to strip these out. I don't have an extra set, and the ones that came in the rebuild kit are not the same, so I gotta do this right. So I want to make sure that my socket goes all the way in there, and my bolts were pretty greasy and grimy. This one's still got a little bit of dirt in it, but sprayed some brake cleaner on them, then just kind of wiped them off. These are completely black, so that's how much grease is on them, and you can still see back in here all the grease and grime gunked onto my new axle. So I'm gonna have to probably get in here at some point and clean all this up, but there was grease like all over the subframe and everything, so that's why. But yeah, so let's go ahead and put these new bolts in here and bolt this up. These are only getting torqued down to 30 foot-pounds, which isn't too bad, but you don't want to strip them out. And there you have it, guys. That's how you install a Raxle in a 2002 B5 S4 with a Tiptronic transmission. What we still have left to do is bolt the tire on, or wheel, or rim, or whatever camp you're from, and torque that down. And then after we lay the car down and put some weight on it, we are going to finish torquing down these two pinch bolts here, and we should be good to go. And one final note is we also obviously can't forget to do our axle nut here. So what I'm going to do is snug this down now, but I'm not going to torque it until it's the car's back down on the ground. And one other thing I'm going to do that's just kind of extra because I was messy is I'm going to put a pan underneath here and spray brake cleaner, get some of this grease off my rotor before I put the wheel back on. So that's about it. So we got 1, 2, 3 that we still have yet to torque, and that's about it. Alright, that's our 140, and then it said plus 180 turn. Alright, there you have it. Now, we just have to finish torquing the two that are up here. Those should be about 30. Yeah, this one needs a wrench to hold it back. There it is. shorter extension so I don't hit the firewall or the wheel well. There you go. And back to the longer one. Okay, 30, 30. I think what did I do for these bolts? Like 100 foot-pounds for the lug nuts, 140 plus a 180 twist for the axle nut. And we should be able to call this done. Alright guys, so there you have it. I am just going on the test drive right now. Everything seems to be okay. I don't really know how to test out an axle, but I basically just did some full lock turns, like 360s, and then I went the other way. No clicking, no noises, no nothing. I think the old one that I just pulled out was making some clicking noises and stuff like that. So it was toast. So, I'm gonna go clean up, pick up all my tools, and one other thing that I still have yet to do that I need to do is just reset my service interval light, the little thing in the dash that basically tells you to, you know, perform service on the car every so many miles or whatever. So that's it. That's how you install a Raxle in a B5 S4 with a Tiptronic transmission. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and check out some of my other videos.